Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where our broadcast 3D is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International.com and New Life International CDC.com, and those of you that use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your continued support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers that we are now in our May FijiWater.com sponsored promo. The winner of our April FijiWater.com sponsored promo was Matt Young in Media, Pennsylvania, and Matt will receive one case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. And now we're in the month of May, so we are going to be selecting another winner of our FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So the way that you enter is at 12 p.m. or 6 p.m. every day. The first 3 songs you hear, you will list those songs and text them along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. Throughout the month, you have the opportunity every day to send a text with the first 3 songs you hear at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time or at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected again in the month of May, will be selected to receive a case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. We thank all of you for continuing to tune in at WKAPFaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear, list them, text them along with your name and email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. And you will have the opportunity to be selected to win a case of Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. And I want to remind everyone, I will be keeping you updated. We will be going to a 1-hour broadcast once we have gotten the production component completed. We will be going to a 1-hour broadcast, which will start at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D and will run until 1 p.m. So what that means for us is that you will then be doing a little different with the FijiWater.com sponsored promo. But I haven't announced the date yet because I don't know the date yet. But as soon as I know the date, I will make certain that all of you are aware. We will be on the air from 12 noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. And I will be announcing that date as soon as we know the date. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have been married to a woman who had a 5-year-old when you got married. And you said, however, 10 years later, you're still finding it difficult to bond with your stepchild. And you want to know, how do you bond with a child that was brought into the marriage? Okay. You have another child now. Congratulations, to God be the glory. But you have 2 children. And the question you're asking about bonding, you find it difficult to bond with your stepchild. Let me tell you, the first thing you're going to have to do is take the hyphen out. And here's what I mean by that. The worst label that has ever been created was step-parent. Stepfather, stepmother. You have to take that hyphen out of the equation. And the reason is because what you're really asking them to do is take a step back when they've already taken a step up. When they've already stepped up to take care of your child and to claim them as their child. Even if you still have, the other parent involved. It does the child a disservice, and it does a disservice to your ability to bond. That then becomes a parent. What children don't understand, because they don't have the tools to navigate this, is that they then have a bonus parent. They're blessed to have more than one person. And if only the mother's involved and the father's not involved, then they now have another parent. But if both mother and father are still involved, even though they're not together, divorced, whatever the case may be, they now have a bonus parent. But what they don't understand, because they don't have the tools to understand, is that more than one person, more than 2 people who are biologically connected to you can love you. They struggle with loving more than their biological parents. And part of the reason is because, and there's a psychology to this. Part of the reason is because if one person can leave who is connected with you by DNA, how easy would it be for someone who's not connected to them to depart from their life? They don't want to feel that hurt twice. All you have to do is stay the course. All you have to do is have staying power. And eventually you don't know what the bond will look like, because there's no way of knowing. But you'll get back what you put out. Someday, it may not be right away, but someday you'll get back what you put out. And one of the things that will happen is that some type of bond will form. I understand you're saying it's been 10 years. I understand that you're saying you find it difficult, but the reality is that over time, and I know you think a decade's a long time, but it's really not. It's just the beginning. But you have to realize that some type of bond will form. You just don't know what that bond's going to look like. Now, you have another child also now, so that the 2 of you have birthed together. But you can't treat that child any differently. And I know some people will disagree with me, and that's okay. My email address hasn't changed in 21 years. It's still newlifepastor@comcast.net. You can shoot me emails and tell me that you disagree. That's okay. But the reality is, you have to love that child. You have to love the child that was brought into the marriage just as you would your own. Because they're a child. They didn't ask to be brought here. Your job is just to be present and then allow whatever bond is going to take place to occur. And over time it will, in some form. It may or may not be the bond that you would like it to be, but it will be a bond in some form. And they will understand that you're always going to be there. As long as you have staying power, they will learn that you will always be there. But the one thing you're going to have to do is take the hyphen out of that equation. You can't say to anyone else, this is my stepchild. Because if you say that, they're going to pick up exactly what you pick up. They're going to, now if they continue to call you their step parent because they don't have the tools to navigate that you're a bonus parent, if they don't have the tools to navigate that, if they're not mature enough to understand that you're the parent, not a stepfather, not, just take the hyphen out of the equation. When you introduce them, it's your child. Because, and you got to understand something too. It's been 10 years that you've been married. You said she brought a 5-year-old into the marriage. So now the child's 15 or about to turn 15. They're still a child. I don't know any other way to say that. They're still a child. They don't have the tools to navigate what you have the ability to navigate as an adult. So you're going to have to do your part. And your part, and I know you're going to say, well, Pastor, and I'm just going to keep it real with you because this is one man to another. You're just going to have to take the hyphen out of the equation. You're going to have to say, this is my child, just like the one that your wife has now given birth to. So now you got a 14, 15-year-old, and you got a almost 9-year-old. They're both your children. And you just have to treat them as such. And someday a bond will form. Don't be weary in well-doing, just keep doing well. You've already taken a step up. Don't take a step back or a step out by being a stepfather. Be the parent that they need you to be. And everything else will work itself out. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. So if you're in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will help you. He will have someone help you select the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own one and you're in our area, if you currently own a Porsche and you're just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone schedules an appointment for you and they will pick up your vehicle at your home or office for your annual service and drop a loaner vehicle to you until your service has been completed and return your vehicle to you upon completion of your service at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you would like to know, how does a woman know when a man is really into her or if he is just in it for a good time? This is a very interesting question because men are very simple. We are not complicated at all. You make us more complicated than we really are. And let me tell you why I say that. When a man is really into you, you will know that he's into you. And I'm going to tell you the reason. See, society has really brainwashed us, for lack of another term, to fit into the mold that society would have us to fit into, And I'm not against retailers. I'm a firm believer in free enterprise, and But, there are holidays created throughout the year to increase revenue. The psychological impact of, I'll start at the beginning of the year, people want to do something for New Year's. So they splurge and spend money New Year's Eve to celebrate the new year coming in. And then in February you have Valentine's Day. And so you've got people out spending money on chocolate, flowers, and jewelry and whatever else. And I'm not against retailers. What I'm telling you is these are all things that society has done to brainwash us into spending our money. In investment banking, we had a term. The client has their money in our money in their accounts. Our job is to separate them from our money. And it's the same thing with retailers. Retailers target you with marketing and merchandising so that we will spend money to increase their revenue. So that's free enterprise. That's okay. But we get to decide. We get to decide how we're going to spend our money. It's the little things. It's not, you think flowers are a little thing. They're not. They're very costly. I know because my wife loves flowers and we have flowers in our home every week. She loves flowers. Flowers are not inexpensive. But you think that's a little thing. It's not a little thing. But it's nice. It's fine. But the reality is, when a man's into you, he'll do the little things. He'll do the little things like, pumping your gas for you. He will, pick you up from the airport. He will, if your car needs to be serviced, he'll pick you up from getting the car serviced or so that you can drop your car off. The little things, the everyday life things. That's when he's really into you. Flowers, he's just trying to impress you. Chocolate, he's just trying to impress you. He buys you jewelry, he's just trying to impress you. Those are things you do for a wife or significant other. But when a guy's dating you, when he's really into you, he will do the little things that matter, the little things that really count. It's the little things that say, I really care about you. It's the little things that say, I'm going to be there for you. It's those little things. It's not what we perceive to be things that someone has to do to ensure that you feel good about the relationship you're having with them. It doesn't work that way. And you got to know that when a guy goes out of his way to do the everyday little things, that man is really into you. Now the question is, are you into him? But we're not complicated. You all make us more complicated than we really are. Men are very simple beings. We really have a 2-track mind. And those tracks are, north and south. I wanna find someone that I can marry and make her my wife and build a great quality of life. We're real simple individuals. We're not complicated at all. We are going to keep things real simple because we're simple. And I don't mean, there's a term going around about that in society today, in the culture, so to speak. When I say we're simple, I mean we're not complicated. We know exactly what we want to accomplish. And you're right. Either a man's into you or he's just having a good time. But he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he wants to do. You have to decide, if you're into him, you have to allow him to be into you, and you have to allow him to do it his way. Because trying to require a man to do anything is not going to last for very long, because that's not who we are. You know, it's men and women are wired completely different. And society has provoked us into believing and brainwashed us into believing that unless men do certain things, you don't need them. When in reality, the whole point is, and I'm going to be spending some time on this because I've been really thinking about the way society has brainwashed us, about the way we think about life, everyday life. And I'm going to spend some time on this as I respond to some of the other communications over the weeks to come. But the reality is that God created man and woman to merge together, marry together, and build a great quality of life together, to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish the earth. All those things that the Word of God tells us to do. And we will build a better society if we follow just that. All this other stuff that goes on in society is not going to benefit us. It's not going to build a great quality of life. It's not, listen, we can enjoy what God has created in the earth. He wants us to enjoy. He wants us to have a little bit of heaven right here on earth. I know that's a little different for most people to believe because we've been taught a lot of different things. But when Jesus taught his disciples to pray, he told them, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven." Real simple stuff. He wants us to have a little bit of heaven right here on earth. But we keep going through life's challenges and circumstances and difficulties because we're not following the Word. We're not making the Word come alive. We are just trying to figure it out as we go along and make up on our own rules as we go along. Well, you know, I always ask the same question. How's that working for you? We really have to get back to the basics, and you need to know that the basics are this. If a man's into you, he will do good for you in everyday life. That's part of our responsibility. If he's just in it for a good time, he really could care less about what your daily needs might be. He could really care less about doing the little things that will make your life a little easier. Because that's really what relationships are about. Learning to try and make life a little easier for each of us. That's how you build a better quality of life. That's how you maximize the quality of life. That's how you enter into the fullness of God. That's how you experience the fullness of God. That's how you maximize the fullness of God. Let's do a better job. Let's do some things differently now. And just look around you at the men that you date. If they're into you, you'll know it because they'll make certain that you know it by just doing the everyday things that are going to really benefit your quality of life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall, pardon me, in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. If you're in any of those areas, you know we're live, right? If you're in any of those areas, stop in at your retail stores. The retail stores, they have everything a man could possibly need. And if you are not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you are in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. And you want to know, how can you really be successful and maximize your career and your personal life simultaneously? That's an interesting question. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because people often struggle, and I see it all the time. I get communications about it all the time, talking about work-life balance. No such thing. And I've said this on the broadcast before. I'll start right there by saying there is no such thing. We spend more time, more hours working than we do on our personal time. And if we do not, we're not going to be successful and maximize our success. It's just, they don't go hand in hand. You've got to mix. What goes hand in hand with success is working diligently to maximize your success. In order to do that, so I've said this previously on the broadcast, and I'm going to share this because it's applicable once again. Think about it this way. You know, I've heard people say, you know, you'll sleep when you die, and we've all said it, you know. So, you know, I remember being in the world and working, you know, sleeping 4 hours a night. Wasn't good, didn't realize it at the time because I was young. Sleep 4 hours a night. Then I got a little older, and, you know, my doctor said to me, you've got to get more rest. So I went to 6 hours of sleep a night. Now at this point in my life, I'm trying to get 8 hours of sleep every night. And I don't care what anybody says about you shouldn't sleep for 8 hours because you're sleeping 1/3 of your day away, but I've still got 2/3 of my day that I can maximize my success. And what I mean by that is there's 5 segments to business, and I say this all the time. There is administration, development, management, operations, and marketing. Marketing and operations, pardon me. So there's 5 segments, and I allocate 2 hours every day for each segment. That's a 10-hour workday, minimum. Sleep for 8 hours, that's 18 hours. That means I've got 6 hours remaining. How I'm going to spend those 6 hours now, for me personally, I spend 3 of those reading scriptures because I want to not only apply it to my daily life, but my responsibility as a pastor is to help people apply the Word of God to their daily lives. Okay. So that's 3 more hours of my time. And then that means I've got 3 hours left to do whatever else I need to do. And a lot of that is research on, you know, not only maximizing my own fullness of God and the life of my family, but it's also spent researching so that we can do our philanthropic endeavors to enhance the life of others. So how you spend your day is going to determine your success. But you have to look at that from the perspective of your professional life and your personal life. Your personal life and professional life, they're synonymous. You don't become your work, but your work is part of who you are. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't work, you can't advance. If you don't work, you can't build wealth. If you don't build wealth, you cannot have an impact on our society. You're limited to what you can do. And we are interested in philanthropy, charitable causes. You know, we have philanthropic interests. So that's where our time is spent. Now that doesn't say that we don't enjoy life. I know, you know, some people think it's funny because I was talking to students today and they were surprised when I said, you know, someday I want to see you all with your families, married at the movies, you know, maybe at the mall. And they looked at me like I had 2 heads. They were like, at the movie theater? I'm like, yes, I live a normal life. I don't go all the time because we don't have that kind of time, but we pick and choose. That's all part of enjoying life. God created the movie theaters too. But we We really want to maximize our personal and professional life. They work together. The problem is we try to separate them, and that's what causes us a lot of stress. We have to keep them united so that we can keep moving forward and that we can experience not only success, but the fullness of God in all of our lives. 3D, today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. Make today the best day. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace